Welcome to 1189, an online Bible commentary. My name is Tyler Marston, and today we're taking a look at Genesis chapter 11, the Tower of Babel. Now, last time we talked about Genesis chapter 10, which is called the Table of Nations, and it gives all these records of Noah's descendants and how they spread out, and it said that each nation split up according to their families and according to their languages. And that naturally raises the question, were they speaking different languages on the ark? I mean, how did they understand each other? Where did all these languages and these different cultural groupings come from? And Genesis chapter 11 gives an answer to that story that's also going to reinforce those themes of human corruption and rebellion. I mean, remember, even after the flood, the hearts of men have not changed. And we're going to see that is evident in Genesis chapter 11. And it's going to answer the question, why does God need to pick only one representative for his plan to restore humanity? I mean, what's wrong with using humans as a collective whole? The problem with using humans as a collective whole is that one bad decision can easily spiral into lots of really bad decisions, and we're going to see that on display in Genesis chapter 11. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. Now, the whole earth used the same language and the same words, and it came about that as they journeyed east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar and settled there. So apparently, before all of Noah's grandchildren split up, they did speak the same language. They all did use the same words, but it happened in the land of Shinar. Now remember, back in the Table of Nations, the last time we heard about Shinar, we heard about Nimrod, whose name literally means "we will rebel." And he was building all these kingdoms and empires that are going to be later on really biblical bad guys who are going to take over Israel. So anything that happens in the plain of Shinar is going to involve rebellion and involve corruption. That's the little nugget that Nimrod story was setting up is going to come true here in this story. Verses 3 and 4, they said to each other, "Come, let us make bricks and burn them thoroughly." And they used brick for stone, and they used tar for mortar. And they said, "Come, let us build for ourselves a city and a tower whose top will reach into the heavens. And let us make for ourselves a name. Otherwise, we will be scattered abroad over the face of the whole earth." Now, this sounds good at first, especially to our 21st century, very humanistic mindset. But look at what's underneath the surface, right? First off, they want to do it for themselves. Let us build for ourselves a city, right? They're not doing it for God, for God's glory. And see also that they're making for themselves a name, right? They don't want to call on the name of the Lord like Adam's descendants did back in chapters 4 and 5. They want to make for themselves a name. They want to make their names great. They're doing it pridefully out of their own ambition. And also they're being disobedient, right? Because God told them in chapter 9, verse 7, to fill the earth and subdue it and spread out over the face of the earth. And they want to stay where they are. Otherwise, they'd be scattered, is what they said. So this tower represents a rebellious humanism, right? We think of humanism as a modern invention of something that came up, during the Enlightenment period and the Renaissance period. But the Babel story shows that this idea of supreme human ingenuity as the ultimate goal, that's really an ancient idea, and it's been around for a long time, and it has some problems that accompany it. The Lord came down to the city to see the tower which the sons of men had built. The Lord said, "Behold, they are one people, and they all have the same language. And this is what they begin to do? And now nothing which they purpose to do will be impossible for them." God has entrusted humans with much responsibility. I mean, they were supposed to be his representative. They were supposed to rule in his stead over the land and the plants and the animals, remember? And think about how that's even true today. I mean, think about how the survival of not just the human race, but the planet and all the animals and all these environmental causes that are dependent on our choices and our reactions. Not to mention human survival is also dependent on our choices. When we think about things like world hunger and all the suffering that's in the world, that's problems for us to fix, and it's directly impacted by how we choose to live our lives. This responsibility and this ingenuity God gave us was supposed to be used for his good purposes in his infinite wisdom. The problem is when humans use this God-given gift for our less than good purposes in our less than infinite wisdom. And there's danger even in technological advancements today. I mean, with every breakthrough, like a theory of relativity, there's a potential for the creation of an atom bomb, right? So verses 7 through 9 is God's solution, and that's to limit humans' freedom, humans' God-given abilities. Come, let us go down and there confuse their language, so that they will not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from there over the face of the whole earth, and they stopped building the city. God takes away their ability to communicate with each other, which is a fundamental thing that makes us human, right? And the ability to understand each other. And God says, if you can't handle the responsibility I've given you and not rebel through it, I'm going to make you less than human. I'm going to make you more animal. But he does have mercy that he didn't destroy them all right there, right? I mean, that goes back to his promise with Noah. And God is faithful to his promises. He's committed to redemption. Remember, we saw that all through the flood story. So he's giving a constructive judgment, right? It's still fulfilling his purposes for the humans to fill out over the land and subdue it. But he's forcing it on them because they chose wickedly. They chose rebellion. And the story ends with a great little pun in verse 9. Therefore its name was called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of the whole earth. And from there the Lord scattered them abroad over the face of the whole earth. So remember, this takes place in the land of Shinar, which is going to go on to host the empire of Babylon, an ancient Israelite enemy, an empire that's going to take over Israel in the future. And we trace the word Babylon back to an ancient Sumerian word that means gate of the gods. But here the ancient Israelite biblical authors are giving a little jab at the Babylonian Empire. They're saying actually their name comes from Babel, the Hebrew word for confusion, because that's where the Lord confused all the languages of the earth, and it came from their rebellion. And so the claim there is that the source of the future Babylonians is not going to come from their gods. It's a humanistic power. It's a rebellious power in rebellion to the one true God of Israel. So after this climactic rebellion, we've had these cycles of rebellion and then mercy and then more rebellion, right? We get another long list of genealogy, and it ends up with a guy named Abram, who's living in the land of Ur of the Chaldeans. And we don't know much about Abram yet, but he's going to be really important, and that's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow in Genesis chapter 12. So to review Genesis chapter 11, we remember that humans were designed to be in the image of God, to rule in his stead, and he's given us responsibilities in order to accomplish that. The problem is that when we don't do it in his wisdom, when we don't do it according to his purposes, when we're not united and equal according to God's truth, we rule and multiply evil in the world. We multiply lies. We multiply rebellion, right? We become too destructive for our own good. That's why God switched the languages and chose one specific family for his restoration plan, because if he were trying to use humans as a collective, he could never get us on the same page long enough to stop rebelling, right? He's going to need one perfect representative of the entire human race to do what the human race cannot. And so we're going to be tracking that line through Abram, and that's what the rest of Genesis is going to be about, and that's what the rest of the Bible is going to be about. So join us as we're going to be looking for that new snake crusher, that new person who's going to restore humanity back to relationship with God. And apparently Abram is going to be really important to that story. And that's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. But let me know what you thought about the Tower of Babel in this video in the comments below, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.